Wow, good evening. Looks like there's a little bit of a delay on my program on the stream tonight. Hopefully that won't put you guys off too much. Okay, just check in. Well, I've got some people online, so that's awesome. Okay, so hopefully everybody had a fun time last night playing didgeridoo. Playing with your straws. So we've given you over the last couple of weeks loads of stuff to be playing with, and I mean playing's important. Like last night, for instance, with the straw, it gives you an objective that's nothing to do with freediving, gives you something to think about, something to work with. There's a definite fail or succeed there. Can you blow bubbles? Can you breathe in, etc., etc. But it's kind of irrelevant and fun and playing. The end result is when you can do it, then you've gained a skill that then you can apply to freediving, and especially in our lockdown situation, that's what we need. We need things that we can play with now that we don't necessarily we can't use it because we can't go freediving, but there's definitely a succeed option or fail option with the circular breathing, which is what we need now without having to go in the water. So yeah, it's good. Hopefully you'll play with that. Same with the ETT. I've got mine here somewhere. Well, so don't forget to be playing with your ETT. Okay, unpacking exercises and then creating the pressure with your cheeks and your jaw and your lips to fill the balloon. So again, super important to be playing with this. Again, there's a success and a fail option there, and you independent of getting in the water with it. Now, tonight I'm going to kind of précis the session with some ideas about the NoTanx grading system. So if you're not a club member and not coming down to the pool sessions, this will be super interesting. If you are coming down to the pool sessions, then this may give you an idea of what you're trying to do to get your next grade. Okay, so I actually give you a bit of history. When I first came up with the grading system, we were going to have 3 grades, but 2 levels of each. So we started with white or yellow. So they're both beginner, newbie, beginner grades, white or yellow. Then there's light blue and dark blue. Then there was red and purple, and then there's brown and black. So there was actually 4, and these mirrored Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu belts. But weirdly enough, when I came up with a grading system, I'd never done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was 10 years away from actually doing it, but I just heard the idea that they had, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu belt system. I heard that idea and I just loved it. So I built the NoTanx grading system based on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu belt system. Although I had no idea what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was particularly. I didn't do it for another 10 years. So the idea was white, blue, purple, brown and black. But I was very aware I didn't want to give people the idea that they had to do certain times or certain depth or distance to go up the grading system. That's why there was 2 parallel grading systems. So you could become an instructor, either a brown belt instructor or a black belt instructor, depending on whether you could do the depth requirements that other agencies wanted. Right. Equally well, you could become, you started at white or yellow, or rather you started at white, but if you did some of the time and distances, you could get yellow kind of thing, and then the blue, the light blue and dark blue was based around the idea whether you knew you had the knowledge, you got the light blue, you had the time and the distance, you had the dark blue, and then the red and purple was the same. But very quickly, I realized that having the extra level in the blues was still going along the same route, and somebody who'd got their light blue still felt they were lacking what somebody who had the dark blue. Equally well, brown belt, black belt. Somebody who was a brown belt instructor felt that they lacked something. Oh yeah, but I'm not a black belt. I'm not a black level instructor. So very, very quickly, within a couple of months, I saw this, and so cut it out. And we'd given away some white rash vests to some of the Zero to Hero competitions. So we'd given away some white rash vests. So I said, well, white rash vests are just for people who aren't in the club. So that means when you're a beginner in the club, you're a yellow. So that's how we ended up with the yellow. The blues became one and the same. The red is still red, and purple is we reserved for special things. People have done something special for the club, pushed the NoTanx system a little bit further. They get a purple kind of a ceremonial kind of congratulatory purple rash vest, and then just black. If you're on the side of the pool and you're in charge, you've got a black. Whether you're an assistant instructor or whether you are an instructor or a coach or senior coach, etc. Doesn't matter. It's more to differentiate, and you'll see Julian, for instance, or Marco. They come along on a Thursday, and if I'm on the side of the pool, then they will wear their reds, or Julian's currently wearing yellow for some reason. But so that's their diving. Don't ask me questions. I'm diving tonight, but they're wearing a black when they're on the side of the pool. Roughly. So that's how we got the yellow, blue, and red. And what do they mean, though? What do they mean? So if it's your first session and you're just turning up, you know nothing. So you're going to ask everybody. Anybody knows more than you. It's your first night, okay? So that's you're not wearing a rash vest. You're just like new, so you're going to ask anybody. But when you've joined the club, when you've made the commitment, you've signed up for the foundation course, you've done the foundation course, you know why you're there. You know the whole point of it, but you don't know what you're doing, okay? So that's what a yellow rash vest means. It means you don't know what the exercises are. Now, it works out joyously, going back to my original idea about not having time or distance as a requirement, because if you turn up and you are, a competitive freediver and you can go super deep, okay, you're still a yellow because you don't know what's happening in that exercise. Okay, you need to learn what's happening in that exercise. So you've got to have a rash vest. It's got to be a colour, so you're kind of yellow. And then once you've learned the exercises and you know what the exercises are called, and you've got an idea of how they work, then you become blue. Okay, and you start understanding the reasons why you're doing them, okay? And then eventually you know how to tweak them and the objectives behind them, which is when you're a senior. So hopefully the yellows should be saying to the blues, what am I doing? And the blues are turning to the reds and saying, why am I doing it? Okay, and then the reds should be kind of turning to me on the side of the pool and saying, okay, I've got this and I've got that, but how do I integrate this? How do I change it for this? Okay, so that's the kind of hierarchy, and it's all based on knowledge. All right. Now this works with safety because some of you will remember Georgie, an amazing instructor, absolutely like one of the best instructor, better than me. She's awesome. Not that I'm the particularly good instructor, but she was incredibly good instructor. But she didn't have the depth or the time. But if we're basing our grades on knowledge, she knew that she couldn't dive deep. So if she was teaching in open water, she needed safety, Okay, a diver who could do the safety with her. Right? She couldn't do the safety to 20 meters, 30 meters. That's. But because we're basing it on knowledge, she knew that, and we're giving her the respect of, well, if you think you need a safety diver to kind of go down and look after, make sure they're okay at 20 meters, then you have a safety diver with you. Ask somebody to help you. All right. And this is the big difference that we find between the other agencies. We give people the credit for the knowledge that they have. Okay. Rather than just ticking them off because they've done a certain dive, they've done a certain depth. And sometimes, I've got a cold. I can't equalize. But I've done my AIDA course, so I'm an AIDA instructor and an AIDA master instructor. So I don't need a safety diver there. I can't leave the surface. Of course, I need a safety diver there. I can't leave the surface. So it's crazy to suggest that I don't need a safety diver. I need a safety diver, and I know that because I can't leave the surface because I've got a cold. Okay, so it doesn't matter why. You've got the knowledge, I know I need somebody there, so I'll ask somebody to help out. Okay, so right at the very end, as an instructor, it feeds right back to the beginning, and it's about knowledge and progression. So that's where we're coming from today. That's the lineage of our training system, and we give respect for that. And that's where we're going. So I want to ask, I'm going to go through some of our exercises and just explain to you, A, how you do them, okay, B, why, or the objectives, and then C, how we'd tweak them, okay. So let's start with, okay, so some of them are easier than others to explain. Some of them are easier than others to see the objectives and obviously tweak them or understand how to tweak them. So, for instance, I'm going to give you an example of the rings of love, okay, named by Panos. Okay, they used to be called the minute holds, but that got confusing because we've got half minute holds and then we've got dry minute holds. So they're now called the rings of love. Okay, now all the names have a reason why we have names. Okay, we have names because you can remember them better. All right. So rings of love, instantly, half of the people listening to this session, watching this video, rings. That's the one where we hold hands in a ring. Ta-da! Rings of love. And of course, we all love them. Oh, hang on a sec. Panos named it. No, nobody likes them. Everybody hates them. So we call it the rings of love. Okay. So there's the irony. There's the humour in there, and you're going to remember. So very, very simple. Group of five people. Swim the length. Get out. Do some press ups. Swim back. Hold hands. Do a minute static. Okay. Super easy to describe. Now, the safety aspect. You're all holding hands. So after 20 seconds or so, the group leader, whoever it is, doesn't matter who it is, but the group designated person will squeeze hands. So I squeeze hand. Are you okay? They'll squeeze my hand. Yes, I'm okay. They'll go around the ring, and eventually somebody will ask me, 10 seconds later, are you okay? And I'll say, yes, I'm okay. Are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. So we're doing safety all the way around. But it's a high CO2 exercise, so it's highly, highly unlikely anybody's going to black out because the exercise is CO2 training, CO2 tolerance. So you're not going to have low O2. You've been breathing all the way down the length, breathing all the way doing your press-ups and all the way back. Okay? So how do we make it harder? What's the objective? What happens if we've got a beginner, etc., etc.? Well, this one I'm using as an example because it's super, super easy. If you've been in the exercise, you'll know I send the slower swimmers, the kind of people who are going to have trouble doing press ups. I send them first, okay, and then group 2 goes, and then group 3 goes. So group 1 is taking their time, they're poodling along, they come back, and I'm chatting to them. But meanwhile, I'm shouting at the group 3 in a humorous way. I'm going, oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah, chill. Come on, Reds, hurry up. You got 10. No, and I'm really stressing out the Reds. I'm stressing them out. Which is adding to their why it's hard for them. Whereas the yellows at the beginning, I'm not stressing. I'm chatting to them. They've had a long time to do their lengths. It's easy to see why it's harder for the Reds because they're swimming last. They've got to go further. I'm hassling them. They've got less time. They get back and count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they hold their breath. Now, if you want to make it harder, you just do more press ups. If you want to make it easier, do less press ups. If you got that's how you make it easier and harder. Easy is super simple. What happens if you got bad arm, got bad shoulder? Fine, do sit-ups. What happens if you can't get out of the pool? Fine, do chin-ups. As long as you appreciate that the exercise is hard because of your heart rate when you get back to the static. As soon as you understand that, it doesn't matter what you do. Okay? If you have trouble doing a 1 minute static, fine. Just do a half a length breaststroke. Okay? It makes that 1 minute static a little bit harder. Okay? And you know whether you can do the minute static or not because we just did it and you find out how to find it easy. So it comes back to honesty, as we were saying in that first week. So it's super simple to make it harder, make it simpler, as long as you understand the premise that you're trying to get the heart rate high, build up a little bit of CO2 to make that breath hold harder. And then we can do it as a group. We can have a yellow over here who's just kind of walked to the first set of flags and walked back, and they're doing a static. And then we've got Owen over the other side, who I've been shouting at, and he's got out, he's done some press ups, I've shouted, do another couple, so he's had to do another couple, and he's swimming back, and as he's swimming back, I'm coming 5, 4, 3, 2, he's got no time to breathe up, and bam, they're both doing a static for 1 minute. Both of them are finding it as hard as each other. So if Owen comes up at like 55 seconds and the beginner comes up at 55 seconds, they could both look at each other and go, nearly, next time I've got it. They're doing a completely different exercise, but they're doing exactly the same together. And that's the joy of NoTanx. You can high-five somebody, even though you don't really know what their exercise they're doing. They're doing something completely different, but they're doing exactly the same. Yeah? So that's the whole point. Right? So rings of love, super easy to explain. So let's have a look at the standard warm-up. Okay, the NoTanx standard warm-up. Okay. So this is when you've got a group of 4 to 6 people. Okay, in the example I'm going to show, it's the same video I showed as the other day. Okay, it's got 5 people. So we'll watch it. And I'll explain at the same time. So, first person starts swimming. So the person in red and black swims. Yoda on the side, watching. Now, when they touch the end, not before, the person in blue starts swimming. On the surface, breathing as much as they like. When the person swimming on the surface gets halfway, the person at the end swims back apnea. So the person in blue and white waits until the person in black gets halfway and then they come back. The person in black waits for the person in red and they come back. Okay? So there's the exercise. Now, how do we tweak this? Okay, so that's the exercise. I've described it. I've shown you a video. You can go away and learn it. That's it. You can do it. You can be a yellow, okay, because you know the exercise. Okay? But the objective is to make the swim hard on the way back. And remember, we should be making every swim. Should be making about 3 out of 5. Okay, not straining, but challenging. Okay, challenging. So you challenge yourself. Should make 3 out of 5 of those swims. Okay. The rule is you wait to them get to the first you get to the end before the second person swims. Why? Otherwise, everybody ends up at the deep end. There's nobody down the shallow end. Safety is compromised. Okay, you should have somebody at the shallow end as they're swimming back apnea. There's somebody at shallow end just to make sure they're okay. But Marcus, what happens if I have to wait for them to come back? It doesn't matter, because you make it hard by swimming on the surface faster. So if you have to wait 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute for the next person to come back to do your safety, you can still make your exercise hard by swimming fast on the surface. Okay? That's how this exercise was constructed. Okay? Another thing, okay? Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at it again in slow motion. Okay? So, as the first person swims, okay, second person's waiting. As first person comes up, this is in slow motion, by the way. When the first person gets halfway, the second person starts swimming apnea, which means you can use one lane for 6 people. You can get 6 people to safely train in one lane. Okay, see how it works. You're underwater, and even if you come up halfway along the length on your apnea length, even if you come up halfway along, you won't swim into somebody, because the next person's on the surface. You're waiting to do your apnea. That when they get halfway, you start swimming. So even if you make half a length, they'll be past you. Okay, so the whole exercise was designed so you can have 6 people training in one lane. Okay. So, got a bit of homework for you. I want you to think about this, and obviously the video is going to be up there so you can watch it again. How would you modify that exercise if you had 4 divers? The demonstrations with 5. So 4 divers or 6 divers. And a bonus for seniors, okay, but everybody can have a go. So you've got to think like a senior. What happens if you have 7 divers? Exercise is designed that you can have up to 6 people in one lane. What happens if you've got 7? 8's easy, because then you split it into 2 groups. What happens if you've got 7? So how would you modify the standard warm-up for 4 people, 6 people, and extra bonus marks, 6 people? Okay? Okay, so other exercises that we should be thinking about, the tortoise and the hare. Okay? So, homework for tortoise and the hare. Yellow level homework. Find out what it is. Just find out what it is. Comments in the comment section. Blue level. Find out why, what the purpose is, what the objective is. A few little points, maybe the safety parcels. And the red homework is, how would you tweak the tortoise and the hare? How would you tweak the tortoise and the hare? Make it harder or make it easier? Okay. So yellow, find out what it is. Blue, find out what the what the purpose of it is. And red, how would you tweak it? Okay. So that's just theoretical homework. Hopefully, the first homework with a standard warm-up, you should be able to kind of get pretty straightforward, because I've kind of given you the answer in my description. Then tortoise and the hare. Find out what it is. Find out how you do it. Find out why you do it. Okay. But then, I would like you also to, and this is truly homework, because then you can do it. Okay, obviously those are wet exercises. They're a bit of a theoretical thing to think about what we're doing. Crazy tables. Now, what happens if you've got a complete beginner, never done any breath hold work before, and they turn up and they're doing crazy tables? The objective for them is something completely different from an intermediate. A completely different objective. The objective is, for a complete beginner, never done anything before, is to let them know that they can join in and they can do it. The senior really nailing what they can do, every part of it, the sips, whether they're small, big, they should know how many sips roughly they can do, and if they're going to do 25 sips, they're going to have to be really small. If they should be aware that if they can only do 4 sips, then they can do a quarter of a breath, okay, and then really, or maybe thinking about, well, I can do 4, so I want to do 5, so I wouldn't do a quarter of a breath because I've got to make space for the last one, etc., etc. So crazy tables, okay. Yellow objective. Find out what they are. I've kind of given you some hints. They are in the live streams. Blue. Why do we do it? What's the point? What's the point of the crazy tables? Number 3. How would you tweak it for a complete beginner? First day, turned up. Hiya. Never done freediving before. Oh, we're doing crazy tables. As opposed to somebody who's a red. I've kind of given you reds, but I want you to write it down. Answers on the postcard, please. Send them to the usual address. And heck, why not? Let's give a prize. Let's give a prize. I'm going to give away a NoTanx beanie. Okay, so this is the roll-up one. Try and turn it. My screen's backwards, so I kind of am struggling. A NoTanx beanie, roll-up beanie. We're giving out some prizes. Why not? Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Any questions, ask now. I'll leave the live chat up for another 5-10 minutes, but because I think I can get it to stay online when we put it up, but I'm not 100% sure. So any questions, ask them now, or put them up when I put it on the live feed. So you've got 3 pieces of homework, okay? Tweaking the standard warm-up, tweaking the torts and the hair, and oxys. No, crazy tables, sorry. Crazy tables. Okay. So, thank you very much. Been a pleasure, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
In case I missed it, when's the homework due?
Yeah, so homework, I'll be pricking the prize in 2 days' time, so you can do the homework tonight or tomorrow. What day is it today? Tuesday.
Why you say for Friday?
Yeah, I'll pick the prize on Friday. So Kiri's suggesting Friday. We'll pick the prize, the winner on Friday, and yeah, I'll send you a nice beanie in the post. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.